Hey there, Cancer. How's it going? So we're going to do a tarot card reading, and this reading could be about finances, career, love, relationships, the house you're trying to buy, whatever it's about. We're going to find out together because we are shuffling it right here, right now. And as soon as I finish laying the cards out, I'll have an idea of what's going on here. Just so you know, I don't know who this is for also. It could be for a number of you. It could be for someone specific. Whoever it's for, I hope it makes it to you. And I'd like to do these readings in line with the Rider-Waite-Smith interpretation of doing tarot, which is Arthur Edward Waite's version, especially connected to Gnostic concepts. In addition, that means I usually talk about spirituality with science, biology, history. Sometimes I even get a little quirky and start singing about the medieval ages or the Middle Ages. And so if you can bear with me on all of those concepts, then you'll probably do just fine here. So the cards are laid out. Oh, this is also the Orion's Animal Tarot deck. You guys are used to me using the Last Unicorn Tarot deck. And I have a new one this month that I thought that you guys would really enjoy. So let's get into it. Let's see what patterns we have going on here. And the first thing that I think is interesting is we have a queen and we have a king going on. Both of them are in the reversal position. The queen and the king of cups are here. Pardon me, the king of cups and the queen of swords. Now, Queen of Cups is somebody who can get really frustrated, like even bitter, angry. Especially when it comes to somebody who makes them feel like it's difficult to cut through the truth of the matter. That somebody might be blocking truth. And the King of Cups is somebody who gets moody and suspicious. So we've got the energy of two people here being merged with the Hermit in the reversal. And the Judgment card in the reversal. Two of the major arcana cards are here. We also have the Sun card as a major arcana card. But I want to mention that when the Judgment card is here, in the reversal, it typically means that somebody is resistant towards, well, a judgment that could be called on them. Like a consequence. They do not want to see a certain outcome. And the Hermit is the card of the spiritual journey, but in the reversal, it also means resistance, but instead it's resistance to the transformation that occurs on a spiritual level. Imagine a person who has a purpose in life, a certain spiritual path that they're supposed to go down, and they are like, no, I'm not going down that path. Resisting a spiritual development can cause a lot of problems. Especially because when someone resists a spiritual growth, it's usually because they prefer some inappropriate behavior in their life. They could prefer lustful activities, overeating, greed, avarice, gluttony, any of the 7 deadly sins kind of vibes could be the energy that you have when somebody is resisting doing some good for themselves. And that is here. The 7 of Swords is also here. It's in the upright position. And the 7 of Swords can have a energy of someone who is choosing to try to get out of a situation, essentially. But more importantly, when they're trying to get out of a certain situation, it's because they have a certain desire. They have a certain wish bubbling up within themselves. If you think of the 6 of Swords before the 7, it's about going on a journey towards a certain goal. But then when you think of the 8, which comes after the 7 of Cups here, or 7 of Swords rather, you suddenly step into the territory of somebody who's trying to get a wish fulfilled, but they're stuck. So right before that energy of getting stuck and needing to wrestle through their own difficulties, it really usually does start with some kind of a desire or a wish or even an attempt to gain the confidence to accomplish something. The 5 of Wands is also here and the 4 of Wands is here. Those two go hand in hand, of course, but typically it's the 4 of Wands that we want to show up. even if it's in the reversal, which it is. Arthur Edward Waite in 1910, he expressed that in his book, The Pictorial Key to the Tarot, that the Four of Wands is one of those few cards that has the exact same meaning, whether it's in the upright or the reversal. It means someone is attempting to harvest a goal, which is what we just spoke about a moment ago with the Seven of Swords. But usually it has to do with harvesting a goal with people involved in a sense of unity, like coming together. But the Five of Wands is here, and the Five of Wands is discomfort and difficulty, especially among people. So what I believe is happening in this reading is that somebody is trying to accomplish a certain goal, but there's not a lot of wiggle room that they are giving for anybody else to win in the situation. That is, even to say, to compromise. When we've got a card of one person and a card of another person, and both people feel discombobulated, they feel uncomfortable, and at the heart of it, one of these people is not letting there be room for growth for all of the parties involved, it becomes a one-sided thing. It feels a little bit selfish. And again, I say that mainly because the Hermit card is here and the Judgment card is here. Both of them are in the reversal. I also want to mention that the Hermit card is in the reversal, and it can cause for a very isolating feeling. Of course, the card of the Hermit is when somebody is on their own, but in the reversal, it's even more so. But sometimes it's not just the feeling of being on your own, which it could be. The two people here may not be functioning with each other right now. They might not be together. But even still, the Hermit in the reversal can be that feeling. Even with if you're with someone, it's that feeling of feeling alone. Have you ever stood it's like standing in a crowded room. You've got a bunch of people with you, but you feel alone on the inside anyway. So it's a combination. Some of you, I think you do deal with this person, but you feel alone even with them because they're just so one-sided with the situation. And others of you, I think you are not with this person. That is why you feel alone. And mainly, I think you may feel like that because somebody got up and walked away because they were trying to control the dynamic. They were refusing any other alternative. They were resisting any other alternative. The last card here I want to talk about is the Sun card, because the Sun card is about a path that is going to, not just is going to, but is already here. The answer to the situation in how to resolve this is already here, but will you accept that answer, or will you be resistant to it also? I say that because sometimes the answer is not one we like, and we will push against it. As an example, if this person is going to try and get their way or the highway, and they are going to force themselves to get their version of an answer to unfold, then again, the truth that you face could be that they're not going to let you win, or they're not going to let your side be the best option. And if I was in a situation like that, I would certainly push against it. This person's ability to resist progress suddenly shows up in your life. It's kind of like that energy is latching on because somebody else in life was resisting. You learned how to resist. And if you learn how to resist, the effect then trickles over to other people's lives. They resist. Honestly, this feels like a lot of what happens with the law of attraction, laws of vibration. You know what I mean? When you try to deal with a certain relationship and you really want to go forward in a relationship, but the other person finds that it's almost like suffocating, is the vibe here. Okay, I'm going to shuffle this back in because this is kind of giving us a situation, but I want to know what's going to happen about it. Is between you and this person, are you just going to stay in this kind of suffocating energy? What's going to go on here? And is anybody going to let go of this resistance problem? Or are you going to get to the magnetic aspect? You know, if you take a magnet and you've got them on the right sides, the two things attract towards each other. But the moment you flip one of them around, or heaven forbid you flip both magnets around, you get nothing but resistance. Oh, I feel like something just flipped over in my deck for a second here. Oh, okay, maybe not. The King of Wands is here. Oh, look at it. It's the card of the Cancer. Temperance. Ace of Pentacles. This is wild. What? Page of Cups is here. Give me two more. Three of Cups. And the Seven of Wands. Okay, the first thing that I want to say is that you have the King of Wands energy. And the King of Wands gets what he wants. Whether that's he or she. In this case, the king is showing up as a masculine energy. But they get what they want. Kind of like... What was I thinking of? It's kind of got that Cancer male energy. And I'm sure there's going to be plenty of females who watch this, but Cancer men are really known for doing that. Going for what they want. In the upright position, the King of Wands, I know this is a lot of the times connected to the sign of Leo, but Cancers can do that. They really can. And I'm not surprised because, again, the Temperance card is here. Here's the key, though. The sign of the Cancer has showed up. This lion is looking towards the strategy of a Cancer. The Cancer, with his shell, will either harden himself to get what he wants, or he'll scuttle to where he needs to go to get what he wants, or he'll pinch you to get what he wants, right? Every now and then she might let you rub the undercarriage of the crab, get a little softness in there to get what he wants. But the neat thing about this is although I do believe you're going to go forward in getting what you want, with the Temperance card, it's going to require you to balance two sides of yourself. And you get what you want over a long period of time because the Temperance is a card of very slow progress. You also have the Ace of Pentacles here in the upright position, which is really nice because with the Ace of Pentacles, it usually infers success, especially in the realms of finances. What you have in the reversal is the Page of Cups, which is called the card of the little love. It's the card of little gestures of compassion and caring done right. That's in the reversal for you. Although you do have unity, you have the Three of Cups, but this is somewhat connected to bodily situations. And I think of that because, again, this card is kind of drawn to looking at the cup. And in a lot of concepts, a Three of Cups cards can show up as celebrations that occur, but not just celebrations, the kind that involve bodily things like substances and drinking, or things that are celebratory, even eating, overeating, things that you might have connected to gluttony to watch out for. That also includes lust and things, yearnings of the body. So there's good celebration. There's unity with people. But the little blips of compassion is kind of held off a bit. I also want to mention the Seven of Wands is here, and we already got a 7. One of them was in the upright. That was the Seven of Swords, and this one is in the reversal. And in history, when you have two 7s with one another, if they're both in the upright, it has a certain meaning. If they're both in the reversal, it has its own meaning, but we've got one in each. And the two meanings are vastly different from one another. If you have two 7s in the upright, I bet you guys didn't know this, but it is communication that comes in. And if you have two 7s in the reversal, it actually refers to women of no repute. And if you don't know what women of no repute means, it means dealing with a sense of women in a normal way. They don't have reputation. They don't have a bad reputation either, which is ill repute. It's just about being normal. It's not about something grand. Now, if you take women of no repute and merge it to communication, which are, again, 2 sevens in the upright and 2 sevens in the reversal, since you have 1 in the upright and 1 in the reversal, we can denote that you can merge those 2 aspects of the sevens. To me, that says that you're probably going to end up communicating in a very normal, long-term, balanced sense instead of with little gestures of love. So if you're in a separation from somebody, I would not anticipate that there's going to be a lot of super hyper flirtatious energy coming from a dynamic of you speaking with someone. When you have 2 sevens, I do believe you will be communicating, but when one of them is in the reversal, I think you're going to be communicating on a normal sense, about normal things, about human things, instead of with a mind to the strategy of accomplishing the happiness of the body, which includes things like love, loving relationships and companionship of closeness and intimacy and lust in many ways. I do think with the King of Wands in the upright, that is somebody, again, who wants to go forward and get what they want, especially in the realm of the wands, which is fiery, passionate. I mean, after all, Aleister Crowley had an entire deck, and his wands were symbols of male phallic symbol. They were symbolism of the male phallic symbol. Genitals. Genitalia. My brain said, good old Donkey Dong. Good old Donkey Kong. The energies of passionate love and busting a nut, which can be connected to the 3 of Cups. Donkey Dong. I meant to say Donkey Kong and it came out Donkey Dong. What a fucking weird reading this is going to be now. But it's just, again, it's this vibe of not, it's like a person who really wants to be with someone intimately with their body, lust or gluttony, but they're not going to. They're not going to get to, because there's not enough little compassionate love, and there's going to be a position of normalcy that happens. I know that when people get back into relationships, or they want to get in relationships with each other, they immediately think to themselves, how can I get into an experience with this person where we have just like the best time ever, and we can go places, have fun with each other, lay in each other's arms, snuggle, cuddle, feel. That's all body stuff. That's not what this reading is trying to point out. I'm telling you, it's more like being a normal human and having normal conversations, and it being very slow paced so that you are not rushing into the arms of someone. And that might suck, and that might make you or the other person feel very resistant, because this person might have a different way of doing things. And I think, especially if they're trying to get their way, which is what we saw at the beginning of this reading, it may rub the other person the wrong way. That's what it feels like. It kind of feels like 2 people dealing with things on vastly different compatibility spectrums. It's like 2 different love languages. One person wants to just have normal experiences. The other person wants to have it their way, and it could involve a very bodily sense. And in the middle is the universe saying, you can have success, but you need to slow it down and balance it out. And if you don't balance it out, it's going to have this consistent issue, almost a compatibility issue. I'm going to pull one more thing, because the Ace of Pentacles is still interesting to me, because it's usually about finances, career, household, and things like that. So I'm kind of wondering why it's here sitting amongst all of the cups and the passion, right? Oh, there's the Harvest card again, the 4 of Wands that we saw earlier. Oh, right, because in the beginning of the reading, the 4 of Wands came up because a person was interested in harvesting a successful future and the belief that they can do it with that person, because Four of Wands is a card of harvesting financially with unity between two people. So there is successful possibilities. Like these two people, if they can get it right, they would do really good financially and as a united front. The problem is in the way they handle emotions and passion. It's like being really good teammates, depending on the goal. But if the goal is intimacy, or in this case, the Page of Cups, the actions of little pieces of love, then there's some difficulty. Again, it feels like this is a reading where love languages are mixed. The Chariot card is here. That's an interesting one. Page of Cups, again, is somebody who kind of holds back from giving those offers of little love. But sometimes the Page of Cups is even like not able to communicate effectively. But the Chariot card does insinuate that this person is going to try. But they try in the area of again, the page from an immature point of view. The Ace of Cups is here in the reversal. That's 2 aces now. And when the Ace of Cups is in the reversal, it is also a really good omen. With one caveat, and it's a pretty major caveat. Or difficulty, rather. See, the Ace of Cups, whether it's in the upright or the reversal, means success, especially in the realms of love and emotions. In the reversal, though, it means a delay is going to happen, which we already saw with the Temperance card, that there is a length of time that's going to occur here. But the problem is, with the Ace of Cups, when you have 2 aces, which we have right here and right here. Again, if they are both in the upright, it means one thing. Or if they are both in the reversal, it means another thing. But we have one in the upright and one in the reversal. Notice that theme again. That theme of 2 things operating on different incompatible spectrums, even though they're trying to work together. That's the same dynamic from most of this reading and the same dynamic of the 7s that popped up earlier. It's like that theme is repeating 3 times in this reading so far, if not more. And the problem is, this is wild. The problem is, like I said, the difficulty is when 2 aces are in the upright or in the reversal. Nobody realized this is about aces, by the way. But it means enemies or trickery. 2 aces is actually never a good thing. And a lot of people see aces in tarot readings. Modern tarot readers will be like, oh my gosh, brand new beginnings, brand new beginnings. It's an ace. It's a number 1. Yay, yay. Here we go. This is the one. Let's do aces. Yay. And it's like, holy shit, guys. Please read the instruction booklets on your deck. Or if your deck is based on the Arthur Edward Waite Rider-Waite-Smith deck, look into his instructions because he is not a fan of 2 aces at all. It is too much raw, conflicting power. That's the problem with 2 aces. Which is the entire dynamic that we had in this reading again. Trickery or enemies. Now, because we have 1 in the upright and 1 in the reversal, we get to merge those 2 meanings. And to me, it says that the amount of conflict and potential illusions or trickery that one of these people will do, it will keep them from being truly united and put them at a separation, or in the end of it, could put them to a position of freaking enemies because they just cannot resolve the difficulty. And that's covering over the card of Page of Cups, because somebody's ability to have little genuine moments of love, the little love, there's a conflict in this. It's like a person is only, I swear, it's like they're interested in the physical body. If they got it right, they could be really good teammates here and unite. The problem is that one of the teammates seems to have a problem with genuinity, like genuine little compassionate moments. And if anybody knows anything about relationships, the little tiny acts are the key. If you fuck the little ones up and you can't do that right, it's going to blow up later on in the relationship somehow. because the bodies of humans need truth and honesty in little moments in order to process pattern recognition. On a biological level in our brains are pattern recognition computing machines. You know me, guys. I get into history, I get into biology, but you get the gist of it. Somebody in this situation almost doesn't know how to give little acts of kindness. And they think that the rest of the relationship is just going to charge forward into passion when there's a problem at the foundational level of kindness, is what I'm seeing here. But because that ultimate energy of two aces stays in the realm of trickery and enemies, I don't think the situation is going to work out. Despite all of the fact that there are very good aspects of you and this person. If it was a business transactions, okay, have at it. You wouldn't have to have so much kindness and genuinity of, love offerings involved. If you were going to work on a vacation together, sure, that's fine. But the moment this is about relationships, that's not going to fly. And it's not even a person who's trying to be trickery based. I think the reason trickery is here is because this person is tricking their own selves. Because I think they're making excuses about what kindness actually looks like. It kind of feels like this person might try to mask a lot and hasn't really downloaded into themselves what it's like to be genuine. That's what I think is happening here. And I think they don't realize that. So I'm going to leave it off like that. That was a wild ride. Yeah. I'm going to leave it off like that, you guys. If you want to have a private reading, you can always get a hold of me at the description below or at any of the links in my bio. I do monthly readings. I have a sale on right now also, which is any 3 questions for $20, which is usually, like, I have that service always up, but it's usually 2 questions for $20. So even if by the time you watch this video, if that sale for 3 questions is not up anymore, there's always still, you can still have 2 questions for 20. It'll go back to normal. That little sale there will just go back to its normal way of being. Or if you don't want any kind of a reading at all, feel free to hit me up on Instagram, where I always am, just to chat, because I love chatting and I love you guys and you guys are awesome. And so, yeah, I'm going to leave this here. Thank you very much for anybody who saw this, and blessings to you. Bye for now.